Hello everybody, Sir Beaton here and welcome back to another past paper practice video. In this video, I will be answering a question on graphs. So let's head straight into this question. So the question says, the cost of hiring a taxi consists of a basic charge plus a charge per km traveled. The graph below shows the total cost in dollars, which is on the y-axis, for the number of km traveled, which is on the x-axis. So this graph is basically explaining what's going on in the graph. Here we have the distance in km, and here we have the cost in dollars. So let's look at the question. So the first question says, what is the cost of hiring a taxi to travel a distance of 250 km? So 250 km would be right here. So to get the cost of hiring this taxi, we can draw straight up 250. So that will be right here, and then we draw across to get the cost. So we see the cost is $70. So you can see the cost is $70. Next one, what is the cost of hiring a taxi to travel a distance of 155 km? So 155. So we'll come back to this 155 and I'll state why we'll come back to this 155. So let's look at this. What is the distance traveled in km when the cost is $40? So we'll come back to this at the end. I'll show you why, because we'll get an accurate representation of how we can get that answer. So $40, so here $40, we see if you draw across here and we come down, we saw that they traveled a distance of 100 km. Here it would be 100 km would be the distance if the cost was $40. The next one, what is the amount of the basic charge? The basic charge is as long as you jump in a taxi, this is the amount of money you have to pay without traveling. So if you notice at the graph, the start of the graph, it starts at $20. So at $20, that would be the basic charge. So the basic charge would be $20. All right, so let's carry on. So calculate the gradient of the line. So the gradient of the line, to calculate the gradient of this line, so let me erase these here. So to calculate the gradient of the line, we simply need, do just like how we normally do, we simply need 2 points. So I'll choose 2 nice points. I'll choose this point here, in which the coordinates would be 100, because this is where I go across, and then I go up 40, and I can choose this one here in which the coordinate would be 250, and then I go across, it's 70. So the gradient would be the change in y over the change in x. So this would be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you know what? I actually don't need to do all of this. But let's still do it. This would make it very accurate. I'll show you another way in which we could calculate this. So you know, this is x, this is y, this is x, this is y, so this is x1, y1, this is x2, and this would be y2. So y2 would be 70, so it's 70 subtract y1, which is 40, all divided by x2, which is 250, subtract x1, which is 100. So this would be 70 subtract 40, would be 30, and 250 subtract 100 would be 150. So this 0 go with that 0. 3 1s 3, 3 into 15, 5. So this is 1 over 5. So the gradient is 1 over 5. So let's look at another way in which we could have found the gradient. So we see we move, it's rise over run, so we choose let's choose another point closer. So it's a rise over run, so we rise up one time, and one of these, you have a value of 10. So it's 10 over, and we jump across, and one of these, they have a value of 50. So it's 10 over 50, which would be the same as the 0 go with that 0, 1 over 5. So the gradient is 1 over 5. So to answer the question, the gradient is 1 over 5. Next, write the equation of the line in the form y equal mx plus c. So we want to write the equation of the line y equal mx plus c. Y would be equal to, so we know the gradient is 1 over 5x. And let's look at what c is. C would be the part of the graph that crosses the y-axis. So here's the y-axis. We see the graph is about to cross right here. So it's y is equal to 1 over 5 plus 20. So the line would be y is equal to 1 over 5 plus 1 over 5x plus 20. And the next part, calculate the cost of hiring a taxi to travel a distance of 330 km. So we know the distance 330, that would be on the x-axis. So 330 km, and I want the cost. So we know the cost is the y value. and we know the distance would be the x. So we can say y is equal to 1 over 5, and the distance is 330 plus 20. So y will be equal to 1 over 5 times 330. So we can say 330 divided by 5 would give us 66. So 66 plus 20. So y is equal to 66 plus 20 would be 86. So therefore, the cost is $86 to travel a distance of 330 km. So now let's go back to this question in which the earlier one in which it asks us, what is the cost of hiring a taxi to travel a distance of 155? So we know the equation of the straight line, which will help us to find that cost. It's y equal 1 over 5 plus 20. So it's y equal 1 over 5x plus 20 actually. So we know the distance here is 155. So y will be equal to 1 over 5 multiplied by 155 plus 20. So y, which would the cost, would be equal to, so 155 divided by 5 would give us 31 plus 20 would give us 51. So the traveler distance of 155, it will be $51. And that is the answer for that question. And with that, this has brought me to the end of this video in which I tackled a question on graph. So I trust that you have a good understanding of how to tackle these questions, and I want you to keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. So I'll see you in the next video in which I'll be tackling some more questions. Until then, take care.